Hello everyone and welcome to episode 7 of Project Ozone 3. How are you doing? How's life? Did you enjoy your weekend? Last episode I asked you guys which mod do you think we should focus on next, and you guys did not disappoint. All of you overwhelmingly, with a few exceptions, chose a mod whose name I shall not mention. The comments of the last episode are a prime example of why democracy fails. So we're going to do our favorite mod, whose name I shall not mention. As usual, let us start with a small update. So I decided that we are going to need a small machine area because even though that we have EMC, we are going to need at least one item of each kind so that we can start duplicating it. This is why we are going to have a small machine room, nothing very fancy, that should be more than enough. You might also notice that there are a lot of machines missing, especially from Mechanism. And there's a good reason for it. And the reason is very simple, because every item that you see here from Mechanism already has an EMC. And we have at least one of every one except the glowstone ingot. But I do have an osmium compressor, so that's not going to be a problem. I also made a celestial manipulator, because now I don't have to wait for daytime. Depending on how much time we will have at the end of this episode, we might as well get into blood magic too. So I decided to make an extra island so that we will have enough space. I also made a very overly engineered mob farm. It has a lot of problems, but it does work. So you have to just give this guy a mob imprisonment tool, stand on this pressure plate, and you will get mobs. You have to smack them down manually though. I also decided to make some decorations, make this place nice and homely, and remove most of the torches. Also, I made that small stupid little island with a tree on top, and so far this is my favorite thing. I love trees. Not in real life, because I'm allergic to everything. Anyhow, before moving on to the mod whose name I shall not mention, I want to show you something. Since 1.7 there was a mechanism that if you give a zombie an item and put him inside a spawner from MFR, which is now industrial foregoing, and duplicate him using exact copy, you will get thousands of zombies holding that item. This zombie is holding a nether star. So if we put this guy inside the spawner, we will have thousands of nether stars, because every time a zombie spawns, he will hold a nether star. The problem is, the pack developer thought about this, and this is blacklisted. But there is another mob who's not blacklisted and does exactly the same thing. His name is Husk. So we're going to spawn a Husk, and we're going to give him a dragon heart. Pick it up. If we duplicate him using exact copy, all of them will have hearts. There you go, we have 7 hearts. Hi. So what does this mean for us? Well, first of all, it means that I'm a genius, and this is why I love myself. Haha. No, it means that we do not have to craft a block of infinity in order to use the wand of animation. We just need 1 ingot. Or we need 1 infinity catalyst. Or we need only 1 ultimate singularity. Or 1 chaos shard. You get the idea. Anyway, let us move towards the mod whose name I shall not mention. I need to craft some items and I'll be right back. I think the size of the island should be enough for what I want to do. Also, I realized instead of carrying stones, I can just duplicate stone. It's easier. So, let's make this. Oh, it's a blood moon. Now that we have a platform, I think we should get started by making the different types of plating. So, from the basic one, which is easy, until the elite one, which requires calcium sulfate. It's gonna be so much fun. One thing that we should remember is that I do not have auto crafting on my applied energistic system, so we are going to have to automate everything using EnderIO conduits, crafters, and different devices. So for the basic plating, we are going to need to have graphite ingots, which have an EMC, and we just extract it from you here and put it inside a sag mill. Also, we are going to need lead. And we have a recipe for basic plating, so we just have to extract you, like so, and you should be working. Yep, there you go, that's basic plating. Oh, and by the way, EnderIO has gone through an update, so they have these stellar capacitors which are supposed to work faster, and they also have these energy conduits which transfer 2 billion RF per tick. Both of them had EMC, so I just had to make one. For advanced plating, we are going to need redstone, tough alloy, and the basic plating. So we're going to duplicate redstone, and we are going to duplicate tough alloy. And if we export you to the other crafter, you should make advanced plating. Good. For DU plating, we are going to need uranium-238 as well as sulfur. So we can duplicate uranium here, put it inside an isotope separator with a lot of speed upgrades and power upgrades so that we will get uranium-238 and uranium-235. And we are going to void uranium-235. So you can be on extract with speed upgrades, and this one has a filter for uranium-235. That's good. Yes, that is good. So we provide this guy with sulfur and the plating itself and the uranium-238. So now you should work. Yes, now we're also getting DU plating. Okay, so we are now producing basic plating, advanced plating, DU plating, and now we get to the fun stuff. Elite plating, because this guy is going to need calcium sulfate, which we are going to need to make calcium sulfate solution. In order to make calcium sulfate solution, we are going to need sulfuric acid and fluorite water. Let's start with fluorite water. In order to make fluorite water, we are going to need diorite. So I made an igneous extruder, and this guy should make us diorite. Okay, that is good. I also brought some augments and some upgrade kits. Then we're going to have to extract that diorite and put it inside a rock crusher so that we get fluorite. Then we extract the fluorite from the rock crusher and mix it with water inside the fluid enricher so that we get fluorite water. Now we have to make the sulfuric acid. In order to make the sulfuric acid, we are going to need molten sulfur. So we are already duplicating sulfur in this energy condenser for one of the plates. So I just made an item conduit with a filter and I brought it up to a melter. So now we have molten sulfur. If we mix molten sulfur with oxygen, we will get sulfur dioxide. And if we mix it again with oxygen, we will get sulfur trioxide. And if we mix that with water, we will get sulfuric acid. So what we're going to need is oxygen. I made an electrolyzer. I'm providing it with water. This is giving us hydrogen and oxygen and a little bit of deuterium. I just need 1 bucket of oxygen to set filters, and look how many hydrogen I got. This is not even oxygen, it's deuterium. Oh, okay, these are also oxygen. Nice. Ew. As I said, we are mixing molten sulfur with oxygen in order to get sulfur dioxide. So we are using the oxygen that the electrolyzer produces, but we need to get rid of the hydrogen and deuterium. Otherwise, that thing shuts down. So I made a fluid trash can and I set filters for hydrogen and deuterium. And again, if we mix the sulfur dioxide with oxygen, we will get sulfur trioxide. So now we just have to make sulfuric acid, which for that we are going to need another chemical reactor. And finally, if we mix this sulfuric acid that we're getting from this chemical reactor with the fluorite water that we're getting from this fluid enricher inside another chemical reactor, we will get calcium sulfate solution and hydrofluoric acid, which we need to void. And if we put the calcium sulfate solution inside the crystallizer, we will get calcium sulfate. But the good part is, it's not finished yet, because we still need to make the binder, and this is one of the ingredients. We need more. Another ingredient that we're going to need is this crushed red powder thingy. I'm not even going to try and pronounce it, but we're going to need to make granite inside an igneous extruder. Then we need another rock crusher, which makes this guy. It also gives you sulfur and another powder, which I'm just voiding inside the trash can. The 2 remaining ingredients to make the binder is pulverized obsidian, which luckily has an EMC, and pulverized magnesium, which I'm making magnesium ingots, and I'm pulverizing it using a sag mill. Everything else comes to this crafter, and we get the crystal binder. And of course the last step is to just mix the crystal binders, the boron ingots, and the DU plating in order to get the elite plating. Inside another crafter, of course. It only took us 20 devices and 9 energy condensers to make this plate. It's so awesome, right? For our first automation in this pack, it's not that bad. It's not the worst, at least. So I just realized we're out of power. And I don't know why. We have so many solar panels, and if I remove this guy, how much are we producing? 1.3 million. Where is it going? Okay. that cannot consume 5 million RF. Actually, I just realized it's probably the amount of energy that these energy conduits can hold, because these solar panels are also empty, but the machines are full. So it's probably the energy conduits. It's nothing important, I guess. Anyhow, there are two more things that we need to automate using this mod, and one of them is the cubic boron nitrate, which we are going to need in order to advance through the armor quests. And also I want to do the chocolate. So let's do the cubic boron nitrate very fast, because I know it's getting boring, and then I'll do the chocolate thing on my own. So let me gather some more resources and I'll be right back. In order to make the cubic boron nitrate, we are going to need ammonia and boric acid. Let's start with boric acid, because I think that would be slightly easier. So we are going to need boron. We're going to duplicate it. We melt down the boron into molten boron. We are also going to need an electrolyzer because we need hydrogen, so I'm dumping oxygen and deuterium. We mix molten boron and hydrogen gas in order to get diboron. We mix it with water in order to get boric acid and hydrogen, which we're going to put back into the system. For ammonia, we are going to need a nitrogen collector and mix the nitrogen with hydrogen in order to get ammonia. Ammonia and boric acid will give us the boron nitrate solution, which goes inside the crystallizer to give us hexagonal boron nitrate, which finally, if we put it inside the pressurizer, we will get the cubic boron nitrate. So this guy is also complete and we are getting cubic boron nitrate, which is very good. This guy I think I will do alone, cause yes, it's going to take hours. Believe it or not, guys, this entire setup is to make chocolate. I hope at least the chocolate is good. It's not bad. Gives you buffs. Alright guys, at first I wanted to be a jerk and prove to you why fusion reactors are garbage. But unfortunately, I came up with a plan and now I'm curious to see if my plan works. So we are going to try and make a fusion reactor and do our best to see if it works. But before doing that, I want to explain to you something. The best combination of fuel that you can put inside a fusion reactor is deuterium and tritium. Imagine that a block of wool is hydrogen, a block of coal is the fusion reactor, redstone is deuterium, and lapis is tritium. What you're gonna have to do is to produce hydrogen, put it inside the fusion reactor in order to get deuterium. Then you're going to put the deuterium inside another reactor in order to get tritium. The problem is by the time you get this tritium, you're already out of deuterium. So you're gonna have to produce more hydrogen, burn it inside the reactor in order to get more deuterium, and then you will have enough deuterium and tritium to burn it inside a fourth reactor in order to have the highest RF generation. That's the problem, you need 4 reactors. Or you need to change the fuel for a reactor like 4 times. That's not very practical. So my plan is, instead of using DT fuel from nuclear craft, we're going to use the same from mechanism. Because in order to make deuterium in mechanism, all we need is heavy water, we get deuterium, we can also convert it to a liquid form. And for tritium, that's the tricky part, we're going to need a solar neutron activator and we're going to need lithium. And lithium requires a lot of thermal evaporation towers, but there's also a recipe for it with lithium dust. And lithium from nuclear craft has EMC. Hi. Well, I just remembered that in order to make all the pumps required for the heavy water in mechanism, we are going to need a lot of steel casing, and that requires grey plastic. And we don't have grey plastic anymore, but I think we still have liquefied plastic somewhere. That's Starlight. Are you plastic? Oh yeah, that's plastic. That is good. I dropped it. Oh, it actually went into this vacuum chest, so you should be in the ME system. Yeah, that's good. So we're out of plastic and I only got 100 grey plastic. That's not going to be enough because that's only enough for 25 steel casing and we need more, I guess. Or we can just do this. In order to make the solar neutron activator, we needed HDPE. So I set up a small device in order to get HDPE. We are having a crushing factory. I'm providing it with wheat. It's giving me biofuel. The biofuel goes inside the PRC. We mix it with hydrogen and water in order to get substrate and ethylene. The ethylene goes inside the rotary condensator, gets condensated into liquid ethylene, and that goes inside another PRC with substrate and oxygen, and we get HDPE. I'm also voiding the extra oxygen that the second PRC is producing, and also the extra ethylene that the rotary condensator is making, so that it doesn't get clogged up. It's working fine so far. Alright guys, our reactor is finally ready, and it's a tier 6 reactor. It's bigger than the one that we made in Enigmatica 2, and I think this should be the max sized reactor. Anyway, it has plenty of deuterium and tritium, which is the best fuel combination according to the JEI, and the only thing that we have to do is to heat it up to 8000 Kelvin. So I brought a quantum entangler porter. 3000, 4000... That's 8000 Kelvin. Good, so we can turn it on. Oh, it is on. Okay, dump overflow. So I just noticed something. This is 34k RF. That's 34 million RF. And we just ran out of tritium. That's not very good. So here's the thing, the problem is it started raining and tritium ran out. But it's not bad if it's making 33 million RF. The problem is tritium. I increased the number of pulverizers and chemical oxidizers, so now we are keeping up with the production of tritium, and this guy is functioning with 35 million RF, which is amazing. I'm very happy with this. The problem is it's either nighttime or it's raining. We have to do something about it. Well, this was easy peasy because this guy is hooked up to a rain sensor, and whenever it rains, it will stop the rain. And this guy is hooked up to a daylight sensor, and whenever it's nighttime, it will turn it to sunrise. So we have another issue now. We are generating 35 million RF per tick, but this guy can only hold 10 billion. So it gets full in like, I don't know, 7-8 seconds. We need to increase the capacity of this guy. I thought we should try and make awakened Draconium. So we are going to need higher tiers of fusion crafting injectors. And I think the timer just goes here. Yep. So if we put you inside, you should work. Good. Now that we have Wyvern fusion crafting injectors, we should be able to make awakened Draconium. Please pick it up. Please. Don't make me come down there. Please. I think in order to make the final tier of the Draconic Energy Core, we are going to need around 400 awakened Draconium blocks. That's 6.5 stacks. This is... oh, that's more. Okay, we have plenty. Well, I made this guy, but you might notice that we're not generating that much RF. We have a small issue. So, this guy blew up. I think it was too hot. I'm trying to fix it, but I think it's still too hot, because when I put this guy here, nothing happens. Apparently I don't know what I'm talking about. Okay. No, don't work, please don't work, please. Okay, we're fine. We are fine. It seems that in order to prevent overheating, we have to keep the efficiency low. Previously, this potentiometer was at 15, so this was working at 90% efficiency. I now reduced it to 3. So you should be less efficient and less hot, I hope. The problem is, when you try to keep the efficiency low, then this guy is always offline. It works for like 1 second, then it has to cool down, and then it works for 2 more seconds, then it's offline. So, should I just increase it? I increased the efficiency to around 85%, and we'll see if it explodes again. But in any case, I also realized that quantum entangler porters in this pack have a limit on transferring RF. So in Enigmatica they were 25 million, here they are around 6.5 million. So we needed 4 of them just to transfer that power. And that's only 25 million. That's fine, I guess.